Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to No More News. I am your host, Adam Green. Thank you all for joining in today, Thursday, October 30th, 2025, the day before Halloween, getting into the holiday spirit once again with the Halloween theme song. Gonna be a huge show today. We have Vance getting grilled at a TPUSA event by a bunch of college students. We have Daily Wire talking about their new Christian hire, having a conference call with all of his Ben Shapiro's Catholic Shabbos goys. And Andrew Clavin with a viral clip talking about the Holocaust and Jesus' crucifixion. Gonna get into that. We have the Pope talking about Vatican II and Nostra Aetate, that anti-Semitism is bad, condemning anti-Semitism. And we got a bunch of other stuff. Going to be a big show today. And then tonight, I took yesterday off because I'm almost finished with the book. I'm just trying to get it finished. And then tonight, I'm having back on the show, it's been a long time, Ryan Dawson from the Anti-Neocon Report. Little Ken in Street Fighter 2 thumbnail action. That'll be tonight, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. And obviously, I'm taking tomorrow off to celebrate Halloween with my young girls. They're real excited for it. I'm real excited for it. Some Jews are real excited about this prophetic rise in anti-Semitism in the West. The explosion of the Kabbalistic Esau hates Jacob. And like Rabbi Mizrachi says, there's going to be a big aliyah. Jews are going to leave America and talk about how another genocide, another Holocaust is about to happen in America and in the West before Edom, the West, is crushed. Jerusalem Post has the headline, "As anti-Semitism grows, it's clear that Israel must be the home for every Jew." Opinion piece. Move home, you're not safe amongst the Gentiles in the exile of Edom. Am I going to dress up as Jesus? I haven't fully decided yet. I'm still kind of thinking about it. Probably not. Maybe on an interview with Christian, street interview, I'll wear it, but I don't know if I'm going to wear it for Halloween tomorrow. So we have in the news just a couple weeks ago, we covered there was all the articles about how on X is perpetuating more anti-Semitism than ever in history. And now we have headlines like this. We have a lot of buzz we're going to get into maybe a little bit. We did in the last stream. The rise of Nick Fuentes and the normalization and the mainstreaming of anti-Semitism as they're framing it all. So more headlines of the history books being written about the prophetic rise in anti-Jewish hatred. But we got J.D. Vance fighting against that and talking a whole lot about Christianity and addressing college questions about Miriam Adelson and Israeli firsters and Palantir. So we're going to play some of those highlights. Pretty crazy for a sitting vice president to get up in front of so many college students and take on all these questions for so long. I haven't watched any of them yet, so we're going to watch them together. First time, live react.
Hello, I have a question about Israel and Trump's policy towards it. Do you think it's a conflict of interest for Miriam Adelson, an Israeli donor, to give millions of dollars to his campaign and then Trump have pro-Israeli policies?
Well, if you're asking, do I think the President of the United States has a conflict of interest? No, I do not, because I know how the President of the United States makes his decisions, and I see it behind the scenes. Now, as the President himself has said, Miriam Adelson, who, by the way, I know, and I have a very good relationship with her, she is very clear about the fact. She doesn't hide the fact that she really loves Israel, and that is part of what motivates her political giving. That is a reality. At the same time...
Oh, wait, I thought they're also passing anti-Semitism laws that the definition, you can't talk about dual loyalty. She's like, literally her main inspiration is to do pro-Israel things. How is he going to spin this into something that's not what everybody's been warning and the threat about for so long?
How the President of the United States makes his decisions, and I see it behind the scenes. Now, as the President himself has said, Miriam Adelson, who, by the way, I know, and I have a very good relationship with her, she is very clear about the fact. She doesn't hide the fact that she really loves Israel, and that is part of what motivates her political giving. That is a reality. At the same time, the President of the United States is America first through and through. And let me give you just a couple of examples of this. Number one, we have heard from some pro-Israel voices, some people who really love the state of Israel, that they don't want us to have a relationship with certain Middle Eastern countries. Well, the president, his attitude is we need to build relationships with any country where we have shared interests, and he's going to do it if it's...
Okay, sounds like he's talking about Qatar, maybe Saudi Arabia. Trump getting his jumbo jet from Qatar. Trump doing the deals with Qatar and them riding on his Air Force One recently. Trump apparently forcing Netanyahu to apologize to Qatar for bombing their capital, bombing Hamas in their capital. And Trump having an air base for Qatar. I think Michigan or something like it. Whatever it was. Sounds like he's talking about Israel didn't want us to be friends with Qatar, and Trump did it anyway. Is that what he's getting at here?
Of the state of Israel, that they don't want us to have a relationship with certain Middle Eastern countries. Well, the president, his attitude is we need to build relationships with any country where we have shared interests, and he's going to do it if it's in the interest of the American people, and he's done exactly that. Number two, there were people, and I remember this criticism of the President of the United States. I just raised it in the context of a conversation that I had with Charlie. I remember when people said that the President of the United States was going to get us into a multi-100,000 troop regime change war for Israel. This was...
See, this is the straw man they always go to. He's not putting boots on the ground. Nobody said he was going to put boots on the ground. That wasn't the argument. You take like the most extreme criticism. How about this bombing is just an escalation that's going to lead to even more bombing down the road? And that they're rearming, and Israel's talking about we need to bomb them some more and all this stuff. How about that's the actual argument? Not, did you hear me saying, oh, it's going to be boots on the ground in Iran, Trump's a shill, boots on Iran and Iran? No. In fact, I remember right when it first happened, that was the talking point that I addressed already. Montana, yeah, that makes more sense than Michigan.
4 months ago, this was 6 months ago. Now, the people who accuse the President of the United States of wanting to get us into a regime change war for Israel, I wonder if they stepped back and said, you know what, we were wrong about that. Because the President of the United States did not want to get us into a regime change war for any other country. He wanted to knock out...
I remember covering how Trump was like alluding to we were going to get the regime change in his posts and in some of the comments that he had made. I remember that vividly. And that's clearly what the Netanyahu and the Israelis want. It's clearly the rhetoric that Trump was pushing about regime change, just because it hasn't happened yet. And no, I don't think we're going to have boots on the ground and occupy. The main goal that I'm concerned about is war with all three, Iran, Russia, and China. Anything that escalates into their prophetic war. That's the main concern, not boots on the ground in Iran.
A nuclear facility and get everybody back home, and that's exactly what he did. So I understand there's some frustrations out there, but I think the President of the United States, more than any president of my lifetime, is willing to stand up to anybody if he thinks it puts the interests of the American people first. Thank you.
So,
interests of the American people first. Lifetime is willing to stand up.
So because he bombed Iran for Israel and he didn't occupy Iran, so I guess he's America first. Like, what a low bar to jump, right? He didn't invade Iran. He only bombed them for Israel. So that's how you know he's really America first. They don't control him at all. What a joke. What a joke. What a bad example.
Could only get that peace deal done by
Now he's talking about people. This is wild. This is like, you got to give him credit just for at least taking on that. These were not scripted questions. This was no holds bar. He's raw dogging this stage right now.
Israel, sometimes they have similar interests to the United States, and we're going to work with them in that case. Sometimes they don't have similar interests to the United States.
We'll get the TTS turned on in a second. Powerchat.live/no-more-news. It's how you support the show. Your comment read on the screen for people that don't know. Every dollar helps. Pinned to the live chat where we're streaming on Odyssey and Rumble, and down in the description below. Turn it on in just a second. Right after this quiet-ass clip, I'll turn it on so I don't blow your eardrums with the coin, with the shekel drop.
For example, the most recent Gaza peace plan that all of us have been working on very hard for the past few weeks. The President of the United States could only get that peace deal done by actually being willing to apply leverage to the state of Israel. So when people say that Israel is somehow manipulating or controlling the President of the United States, they're not controlling this President of the United States, which is one of the reasons why we'd be able to have some of the success that we've had in the Middle East. Now you have
leverage. What leverage? What did he force Israel to do? What is Netanyahu conceding that he'll just have a deal that's going to piss off the extremists in his party and his coalition?
Ask about, sort of Jews disagreeing with Christians on certain religious ideas. Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the realities is that Jews do not believe that Jesus Christ is the Messiah. Obviously, Christians do believe that. There are some significant theological disagreements between Christians and Jews. My attitude is, let's have those conversations. Let's have those disagreements when we have them. But if there are shared areas of interest, we ought to be willing to do that too. For example, one thing I really, really care about is the preservation of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. Christians believe that that is the site where Jesus Christ was crucified, and also that his tomb is right there as well. My attitude is,
I visited there.
Work with our friends in Israel to make
the Christian quarter of Jerusalem, and he was just there. Also, they put out a real nice propaganda, theatrical video of him visiting all that. I'll look for that right now. The Holy Sepulchre.
My attitude is, if we can work with our friends in Israel to make sure that Christians have safe access to that site, that's an obvious area of common interest. I am fine with that. What I'm not okay with is any country coming before the interests of American citizens, and it is important for all of us, assuming we're American citizens, to put the interest of our own country first. That's what we're going to do. That's what we try to do every single day, I promise you. Thank you.
Okay, here he is. Look, we're going to get this. I'm sure this one's going to be louder, so we'll get the TTS turned on. I know some came through here. I don't want to wait too long. Been 15 minutes. Let's get this turned on. I'm looking for the clip of J.D. Vance. In fact, I know how I could find it. I have one of his posts here. There it is. At VP. Come on, is this thing going to come on? Do I need to play another vid while I look this up? We have him, Vance, talking about Thomas Massey. We also have a new interview clip of Thomas Massey talking about Israel controlling Congress. Okay, well, oh, there it is. Unity
17
Started
cent
off.
$20 on Rumble. Started off right, LFG. Peace, Adam.
LFG. Thanks, bro. Sorry I yelled the other night.
Corn Pop sent $5. How can the argument is Jews don't consume blood, but they do Metzits up?
Good. I don't know. I don't know if they have an argument for that. I guess they would say, like, they're not consuming it. They're not, like, slurping it and like, swallowing it or something. I don't know. I haven't looked deep into the lore on exactly what inspires them to do that. What the reasoning is. Some Jewish loophole reasoning, I would assume. But it's definitely not like drinking it. I doubt you're going to find some scripture, some rabbi saying like they're drinking it because it's given them magical powers or something like that. I don't know. Do you know? Oh, wait. We did that one. This one.
Because I was
Palantir.
talking then about Google and Facebook harvesting.
Hello, Vice President Vance.
How you doing?
Good. I have a question. Do you condone large private corporations such as Palantir hoarding data caches on U.S. citizens?
No, I don't condone it. And here's the thing. So I get asked about Palantir a lot because there's this internet meme out there that somehow I am super in bed with Palantir.
Dude, isn't it a fact that Peter Thiel funded his congressional campaign? And they've been buds and bros for a long time? He's the owner of Palantir. I saw Palantir is working with SpaceX or Starlink, I think it was. Maybe both also.
And here's the thing that I'd say.
Yeah, I don't condone it, but I just let them sponsor me. How's he going to spin this one? I'm sure he's ready. He's prepared for all of these.
No, I don't condone it. And here's the thing. So I get asked about Palantir a lot because there's this internet meme out there that somehow I am super in bed with Palantir.
Not super in bed, just like regular in bed. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing that I'd say about this. Palantir is a private company. They sometimes do a useful service, and sometimes they're going to do things that we don't like. You should be demanding that your representatives do two things when it comes to Palantir or when it comes to any other technology company. Number one, protecting your data. What's going on with artificial intelligence is going to mean that there are massive inducements to steal your data, to harvest it, and to use it against you to sell digital advertisements. That is not what I believe in, and I've been fighting against it, whether it's Palantir or any other technology company, literally before I ran for office. When I ran for office, I was criticized by Republicans in my Republican Senate primary because I was talking then about Google and Facebook harvesting our data. It's unacceptable. I don't care who does it. I don't want them to do it. Number two, and this is also very important, what's going on with artificial intelligence, we got to be worried about large-scale surveillance, okay? Everything. You asked about Palantir. Do you know that every time you make a credit card transaction, the credit card companies are collecting data on how you spend your money? Do you know that every time you linger over a link on the internet for more than a half second, the search engines are collecting data on you so that they can sell you advertisements? One of the biggest questions for American policy over the next 10 years is how to ensure that you are a sovereign citizen. And you cannot be a sovereign citizen if any private corporation or any government can steal something from you that belongs to you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Anchorman. Okay, did that one. Here he is talking about Thomas Massie, and I guess we'll segue.
Go ahead.
Mr. Vice President, I'm humbled and honored to be here. Recently, President Trump endorsed a candidate to run against Republican Representative Thomas Massie, who has opposed and criticized some of the Trump administration's aims. How would you address those who fear that principled disagreement or independent thinking is discouraged within the party because of how it can be framed as a betrayal, instead of as internal accountability or an opportunity for debate and negotiation?
So it's a very good question. And let me say, this one is hard for me. And the reason it's hard for me is because Thomas Massie and I, he's one of the first people that ever reached out to me about my book or about political office. I've known Thomas Massie well before I ever got involved in politics. Thomas's wife died well, maybe it was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. It was a little while ago. She died very unexpectedly, was a very sweet and kind woman. And I was probably one of the first people that called Thomas to offer my condolences. I think the problem with Thomas, and I've told him this in private, and now I guess I'll say it in public, is it's one thing to disagree with the party on a particular issue. It's one thing to have your independent stand on a number of questions. And by the way, some of the stuff where Thomas Massie has been independent against the Republican Party, I've agreed with him with. Thomas and I worked together during 2023, where I was trying to stop the limitless flow of American money to Ukraine, and Thomas was one of the people I was working closest with it. But that's one thing. Being independent, having your own opinions is one thing. Voting against the party on every single issue, you're eventually going to make too many enemies. And that is the problem that Thomas has had. It's not one issue, it's not 3 or 4 issues. It's that every time that we've needed Thomas for a vote, he has been completely unwilling to provide it. That is why the President of the United States has trained his ire on Thomas Massie. It's because we can never count on him for some of the most difficult votes. I wish that weren't the case. I say that as somebody who's known Thomas well before I got into politics.
What does he vote against? Like Israel stuff, the big beautiful bill, probably. Raising the debt ceiling. Like what? He'd post like audit the Federal Reserve stuff.
But politics is politics, and when you always vote against the party, you can't expect the party to actually back you. That's the reality.
That's the reality. Okay. Let's hear the latest from Thomas Massie. This is the one that's going around today. And then we'll get back to the rest of J.D. Vance's. Where is it? Here it is.
He's more loyal to Israel than to the United States.
This is on the Blaze.
We talked about Miriam Adelson, the dual citizen, who even Trump believes she's more loyal to Israel than to the United States. She's one of the billionaires who's given over $2 million so far to take me out. One is Paul Singer, who controls the Washington Free Beacon, and he got this hit piece written about $500 because he didn't like seeing his name in the news because I'm putting it in the news. And then he's like a member of the World Economic Forum, and he's your consummate globalist. Probably he's got ties to military contractors too. Like, I don't want to get this wrong, but he has ownership in some of these companies, I think.
Paul Singer,
and then it certainly holds stocks in them. And then John Paulson. This is the interesting one. Now, he's only given a mere $250,000 to the effort to take me out of Congress.
Paulson, is he Jewish too?
He's like of the billionaires, he's the least of the billionaires.
Oh,
the least generous of the billionaires to the cause, which is to take out a true American first congressman.
Burn.
He is in Epstein's Black Book.
Oh.
And I love to point that out because this is why, when you said, does this relate to Gaza? Does the Epstein thing relate? The universe of billionaires is small enough that it's all related. The people that control the newspaper that's writing the hit piece are the same people that want the
small world.
The same people trying to take me out. Our friends and co-donors with people who knew Jeffrey Epstein enough that Jeffrey Epstein had their personal cell numbers in his Black Book. It doesn't mean that John Paulson, had sex with women, non-consensual sex or sex trafficked. It doesn't even mean he was at the island.
Are you hating on my beard, Unity? Beard's looking clean today. Is that your problem? Too clean?
It just means that he was one of maybe 500 or
you're attacking his facial hair.
That Jeffrey Epstein
does kind of look like he's on a lesbian on testosterone facial hair a little bit.
To have his personal contact.
Not as puby as some of the rabbis, though. Okay, that was kind of weak. At least he talked about Miriam Adelson. Okay, ripping on Vance. Oh, Vance's beard? Yeah, I don't like it when it looks like it's drawn on. I don't like the short, stubbly beards. Especially when you're wearing eyeliner, when he's got eyeliner on. Okay, here we have a bunch of clips of him talking about Christianity. Shilling Yeshua.
Christian values out there.
Dude, what is the deal? Even Fox News can't turn up their clips? Guys, I'm going to have to pause the power chat for just a second so I don't blow everybody's ears. So I can turn up this audio way up so you can hear it.
Christian values out there that I think that we've just sort of assumed and we've in fact taken for granted. Christian values are the idea that you should respect every single person as an individual, whatever the color of their skin, created in the image of God. That's a Christian concept. And in fact, it was a Christian empire, Great Britain, that abolished slavery to begin with. The idea that we should eliminate child sacrifice. What did the Christian settlers find when they came to the New World? They found a lot of civilizations that were murdering babies in weird religious rituals. It was Christianity that said we don't kill children just because they're somehow inconvenient to people. A lot of the things, human rights, the very idea that human beings have rights are a Christian concept. And so I'd ask you, my assumption based on the question is that...
So Christianity is intrinsically dysgenic.
You're skeptical of Christianity, or at least of certain public professions of Christianity. One of my favorite Bible verses is, "By your fruits ye shall know them." And I think that the fruits of the Christian faith...
Yeah, then the Crusades happen. They go, oh, we care so much about life. Every baby must be saved. And then meanwhile, it's like they're burning witches and chopping people's heads off and going to war for Jesus. All those sorts of things.
Are the most moral, the most just, and the most prosperous civilization in history. I make no apologies for believing that Christianity is the pathway to God. I make no apologies for thinking that Christian values are an important foundation of this country, but I'm not going to force you to believe in anything, because that's not what God wants, and that's not what I want either.
Maybe not Christianity the foundation of the country, but some Christian values wouldn't not only lead to America, but also American law, but even British law, English law, but a whole lot from the Romans and the Greeks too, which I'm sure he wouldn't deny. Okay, more found. Is this the same clip?
I think the Christian foundation of this country is a good thing. I think the premise of your question, I don't totally share it, because I don't think perfect neutrality is possible. What is it? You talk about history.
Yeah, Judeo-Christian values, right?
Was Christopher Columbus a great explorer, or was he a guy who committed genocide against the native populations? These debates, I'm happy to have them, but I reject the idea that there are truly neutral debates. Anybody who's telling you their view is neutral likely has an agenda to sell you, and I'm at least honest about the fact that I think the Christian foundation of this country is a good thing. I think the premise of your question...
Okay. Flashback where I wanted to cover real quick before we get to some more of his Christian answers. With Jared Kushner looming behind him, he compared Donald Trump to Jesus Christ and the Prince of Peace for these peace deals.
We're going to have to make, as a Christian, I think the world's Christians will know that this country, that this region of the world means a great deal to me. And at some point today, I hope to go, or at some point in the next couple of days, I should say, I hope to go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which Christians believe is the site that Jesus Christ was crucified in. And I
like that he words it Christians believe, not like it's a fact that this is what they believe to be true, which it's not.
I know that Christians have many titles for Jesus Christ, and one of them is the Prince of Peace. And I'd ask all people of faith, in particular my fellow Christians, to pray that the Prince of Peace can continue to work a miracle in this region of the world. I think that we have made incredible strides over the past week. We're going to have to make a lot more, but I think with your prayers, with God's providence, and with a very good team behind me, I think we're going to get it done. Thank you all.
So here's his latest visit to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. I told you this looked like it's like a wedding video quality, Hollywood quality, slow-mo. Look at the lighting. Look at these shots. Dude, would they bring the movie studio quality camera there? Nothing they fear more, by the way. Our government's trying to destroy Christianity. The Magic Jew. Our vice president honoring the magical Son of God, the Jewish Messiah, the Son of Man, the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings, the King of the Jews, Yeshua HaMashiach. Look at these guys. These guys are super serious in these robes. Dude, it's like being in a Jewish temple. Look at these. Indistinguishable from the rabbis with their scepters and their funny hats and their robes. Our next POTUS, right. Okay, there's some good goy slop for the Christian base. Where were we? Totally trying to destroy Christianity, though, right? The establishment. Nothing they fear more.
I'm going to answer your question. Of forcing Christianity, forcing people to...
Oh, we missed one. Hold on. Well, he's got a few. He's talking a lot about Christianity. This is it. Here's where we left off. Please be louder. Come on, white JD Vance.
Catholic representation.
There we go. They boosted it. Thank Hashem.
I want to just make sure that everybody's kind of on the same page here. So if you go back to the First Amendment, it doesn't say separation of church and state. It says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. But if you go back to the founding time, there were actually a number of states that had formally recognized churches. So there was the Anglican Church of Virginia. That was the official state church of Virginia. Maryland at the time was the only majority Catholic colony, or at least had a significant Catholic representation of the original 13 colonies. There's a lot there. And yes, I do think that what happened is the Supreme Court interpreted Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion to effectively throw the church out of every public space.
Cosmos Mega sent $20. I have
Cosmos, thank you.
Comic relief, this time in the form of cringe Asian Christians.
I wanna be like Jesus Christ, as no one ever does. To live by him is my real best. To please him is my cause.
Dude, I bet you there's an Asian Jesus Christian TikTok. Dude, this guy has what it takes. Jesus Christ. Are these guys for real, or is this meant to be, like, awful? Is this like a The Voice audition tape? Thank you. That was great. Jesus
Thor
Christ.
Spoon sent $5 on Rumble.
Jesus
Doesn't this
Christ.
fool know about Yahweh commanding to slaughter babies in the O.T.? Not
Right.
just once, but multiple times? Moo Christian values, right?
Thank you, Thor's Rule. Good point.
Corn
Pop.
$5 on why Constantine did what he did. The book The Last Pagan. Julian the Apostate and the Downfall of the Ancient World claims Constantine convinced by...
Oh, we'll read the rest of that one. Sorry, that sounds good. I mentioned yesterday on the show about when I'm done with my book very soon, reading a book on Constantine and Theodosius and learning about how that went down. Could be some interesting stuff there. Yeah, good point. J.D. Vance is like, the Judeo-Christian God and the God of the Bible is why we save every baby and we care about babies. And it's the God of the Bible that says celebrate and be happy when you bash the babies' heads against the rocks. Same God. The God that cares so much about not sacrificing babies that in order to save the world that he created damned, he had to sacrifice his own son to himself to fulfill his own rule. But yeah, we wouldn't be able to stop killing her. I wouldn't, without Jesus in the Bible, I just want to just see my little daughters and just want to be like, let's burn her to Thor. Like that would happen. Come on.
In local level, I think it was a terrible mistake, and we're still paying for the consequences of it today. But and I think this is your point, if you were to undo that, if you were to get back to a system actually meant by the founders where Congress is not setting up an established religion, but people in their local communities can kind of do whatever it is that they want to do, I think that would be a better system than what we have today.
What do you mean local? You mean like state level, can have a state church or have an official state religion, can outlaw paganism, can put the 10 Commandments and the Noahide laws in all the schools and pray to Yahweh in the schools? If is that what they're getting at here? Project 2025, NAR shit, Seven Mountains, Dominionism type of shit. Is that what he's hinting at towards right here? Kind of what it sounds like to me.
Congress is not setting up an established religion, but people in their local communities can kind of do whatever it is that they want to do. I think that would be a better system than what we have today. But I think the most important principle that we have got to remember is you do not have to completely kick God out of the public square, which is what we've done in modern America. It's not what the founders wanted. It's not good for the United States of America. And anybody who tells you it's required by the Constitution is lying to you. Thank you.
Anybody saying that we shouldn't have a state religion on the state level, at your local levels, is lying to you. Okay. Now, this is funny. It's funny that he's such a hardcore Christian, but he married a woman who's not Christian. Makes me think he's insincere. If he was really a Jesus believer, would you marry somebody that's not going to go with you to heaven, that's not saved? I doubt it. That would be like me married to a Christian. Could you guys believe if my wife was Christian? You think I'd be doing what I'd be doing? You think our marriage would last? You think we could agree on what the kids are taught? He says his kids are getting baptized and go to Christian schools. And he's praying that his Indian wife, converts.
For friends of mine who are...
Dude, Fox News can't turn their shit up.
Yes, my wife did not grow up Christian. I think it's fair to say that she grew up in a Hindu family, but not a particularly religious family in either direction. In fact, when I met my wife, we were both, I would consider myself an agnostic or an atheist, and that's what I think she would have considered herself as well.
Until he wanted to run for politics. Sorry, I'm turning this up, guys. I know it's so quiet. It drives me crazy that Fox News can't turn this shit up. What are they doing? Filters. There we go. This is better. Dude, then he decided he wanted to win an election and be a Republican. So he went from being a rational agnostic atheist and realizing the Bible is Jewish fairy tales to being a very strong Christian.
Everybody has to come to their own arrangement here. The way that we've come to our arrangement is she's my best friend. We talk to each other about this stuff. So we've decided to raise our kids Christian. Our two oldest kids who go to school, they go to a Christian school. Our 8-year-old did his first communion about a year ago. That's the way that we have come to our arrangement. But thank you.
Dude, round of applause.
Was also very proud of his first communion. Thank you, guys. I'll tell him that Ole Miss wishes him the best. But I think everybody has to have this own conversation when you're in a marriage. I mean, it's true for friends of mine who are in Protestant and Catholic marriages, friends of mine who are in, atheist and Christian marriages. You just got to talk to the only advice I can give is you just got to talk to the person that God has put you with, and you've got to make those decisions as a family unit. For us, it works out. Now, most Sundays, Usha will come with me to church. As I've told her, and I've said publicly, and I'll say now in front of 10,000 of my closest friends, do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way. But if she doesn't, then God says everybody has free will, and so that doesn't cause a problem for me. That's something you work out with your friends, with your family, with the person that you love. Again, one of the most important Christian principles is that you respect.
What if she thinks you're retarded, JD? What if she goes like his wife, what is it, Asha or something like that? She's just thinking like, man, my husband is just like a total. What really happens is he tells her he doesn't believe in any of this shit. He just has to play the role. Read the script and play the role. That's probably what actually they're talking about in bed in private. She doesn't believe and he doesn't believe. He's just saying he does. I could bet you anything. That's what the case is. Otherwise, she'd think he was retarded. Like if my wife all of a sudden became a Christian, I would think, oh, she's been brainwashed. She's been initiated into a cult. She's been captured.
Free will. Usha's closer to the priests who baptized me than maybe I am. They talk about this stuff. My attitude is you figure this stuff out as a family and you trust in God to have a plan and you try to follow it as best as you can. And that's what I try to do.
Okay, now freedom of religion is a Christian concept. Let's see here. Every question was about Christianity, apparently.
I'm going to answer your question. Of forcing Christianity, forcing people to pray. There's a liberal idea out there that I think is wrong, and that's that liberalism is the source of freedom of religion. And actually, if you go back to the original founding documents of the United States of America, if you go back to the Anglo legal tradition,
wait a second. Why don't we just go back to the beginning? Why don't we just go back to the Bible? Does the God of Israel condone idol worship? Does the God of Israel, does Yahweh, the jealous God of Israel, does he tolerate other religions? Does he tolerate idol worship amongst his children? Come on. Now they're telling us that the church actually gave us freedom of religion. The church, the Christianity gave Judaism freedom of religion in Western countries. Monotheism in the God of the Bible does not condone. You can't take away religious freedom from that.
Of the United States of America, if you go back to the Anglo legal tradition.
Yeah, good point, Jack Stone. You're not supposed to yoke with the unbelievers, it says.
Well before there was ever a United States of America, what you find is that freedom of religion is actually a Christian concept. And the reason...
Yeah. After they waged war on all the pagan gods for centuries, then they allowed freedom of Judaism. That's funny, right? That's the truth. Yeah. Polytheism. As if polytheism didn't allow freedom of religion. No, that was actually the monotheistic God. It's such a inversion of reality here.
And the reason it's a Christian concept is very simple. Because Christianity, Imago Dei, the idea that we are all made in the image of our Creator, means that we must respect the free will of every single person. Now,
yeah, the Bible says, like, tear down their altars, cut down their trees, chop off the noses of the statues, burn the books of these demon fallen angel gods, Do not allow a pagan witch to live. Yeah. Oh, but yeah, no, the Bible gives us freedom of religion. Bullshit. Dude, you sit on a throne of lies.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Now, part of that is you have a conversation with people. Having free will doesn't mean that you're not allowed to encourage somebody, that you're not allowed to talk to somebody about your faith, that you're not allowed to talk about certain values in school. When our founders talked about freedom of religion, they didn't mean you weren't allowed to say a Christian.
See, here we go with the school. You're not allowed to talk about certain values at school. They want to allow the public schools to have Christians promoting Jesus and the Noahide laws in schools. That's what these guys want.
When our founders talked about freedom of religion, they didn't mean you weren't allowed to say a Christian prayer in a public school or that you weren't allowed to talk about Jesus Christ in a public forum. They just meant that nobody could force you to profess the Christian faith. That had to come from your own free will. And I believe that, and I think every Christian who I've ever spoken to believes that the source is the Christian, the source of your faith, the Christian understanding must be your own free will. But here's the thing about...
So you can't force them. Yeah, you can't force anybody to actually believe something. They either believe it or they don't. You can force them to lie and say they believe something. So kind and tolerant of you. You're not going to have the public school teachers force the children to say that Jesus is God. But they are allowed to try to indoctrinate them with that idea as much as they want.
Christian values.
Okay. Let's see some more.
This president of the United
Here's somebody complaining that Jews don't believe.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
I think we might have played
I'm a Christian man, and I'm just confused.
I'm a Christian man.
This notion that we might have owe Israel something, or that they're our greatest ally, or that we have to support this multi-hundred-billion-dollar foreign aid package to Israel to cover this, to quote Charlie Kirk, ethnic cleansing in Gaza. I'm just confused why this idea has come around, considering the fact that not only does their religion not agree with ours, but also openly supports the prosecution of ours.
Yeah, so...
Prosecution? Or persecution?
Let's say a few things about this. First of all, when the President of the United States says America first, that means that he pursues the interests of Americans first. That is our entire foreign policy. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to have alliances, that you're not going to work.
Okay, we did hear this
one. By actually being willing to apply.
Oh my God! They asked him why they don't believe in Jesus.
That means.
Same question. Remember, we've been talking about, the UFOs are actually demons. They're angels. It's all spiritual. It's all real. J.D. Vance yesterday talking about aliens, demons, and UFOs. Again, they're all doing it. They're all pushing this.
I really want to sort of dig into it.
One last question about UFOs. So I'm a mad UFO lunatic
Me
as
too.
well.
Yeah.
So, and you said, I think the Ruthless podcast, that you were going to, in August, you were going to figure out what happened. So have you
That was a little
managed?
tongue in cheek. I have not figured it out yet. I haven't had the time to figure it out yet.
But you've got access to all this.
I do.
Classified.
And I really want to sort of dig into it. You know, Marco's actually very interested in this too. We talked about this talked about this back in our Senate days. So yeah, there's certainly an interest there. There's certainly an intrigue, but I haven't yet had the time to really dig in. Things have been so busy, but this is the crazy person inside of me. And there's, all of us put the tinfoil hat on from time to time.
Dude, you don't have to dig in. You go, who's our top alien guy? Schedule a briefing. Bring me up to speed. Give me all the deets. This is just, they're throwing out red meat to dangle it in front of the gullible kosher conspiracy people and get them. So guys like Tucker Carlson can say he got attacked by a demon and the UFOs are angels and demons and it's all spiritual and it's all real and the Bible's real and we all just got to believe in Jesus.
I wonder, I was like, I can't allow myself to become so busy that I spend the next 3 years and I don't get to the bottom of this. So I will get to the bottom of this, but it's going to take me a little time.
Because Tulsi Gabbard says that
don't hold your breath. Oh, look, what do you know? Christian question. Hey, tell me more about those angels and demons.
Aliens. Do you believe that?
I don't.
No, he doesn't.
Because Tulsi Gabbard says that she believes there are aliens. Do you believe that?
I don't. It's interesting. I wouldn't say that I do or don't believe it. I mean, I'm a big believer that there are things out there that we can't explain. And so if another person sees an alien, maybe I see an angel or a demon. So I'm a big believer that there are spiritual forces working on the physical world that a lot of us don't see and a lot of us don't understand and a lot of us don't appreciate. But, is it aliens or is it our guardian angel or is it aliens or is it a Nazi?
Yeah, man. Is it hey, man, is that angels with wings in the skies, just like the Jewish book told us, bro? Hey, man, is there spiritual stuff everywhere? I saw David Icke say that you could just, I need the smoke weed music when I do this bit next time. I'll save it for the music next time. There's a lot more going out there, man. Our eyes can only see 1% of the spectrum. I think the Bible's real, man.
That a lot of us don't see and a lot of us don't understand and a lot of us don't appreciate. But, is it aliens or is it our guardian angel or is it aliens or is it a not so guardian force that doesn't care about us or in fact actively wishes us harm? I don't know the answer to that question. What I try to do is I try to say my prayers. I try to be as good of a person as I can be. And I
just don't know, man. It's all a mystery. Just say your prayers. Hey, if you're worried about the demons and the UFOs, bro, just say your prayers, bro. Say your prayers. Believe in the book. Could be anything, bro. Could be angels, could be demons, could be fallen angels, could be Nephilim. Just keep praying and praying to Jesus. That's all we can do.
Try to do a good job, and hopefully that's all I need to do.
Okay.
One last question about you.
Oh, look who else is promoting UFOs, and I'm sure demons too. PragerU today, out yesterday. New UFOs, the moon landing, and the case for God's existence. You ever thought about aliens on weed, man? Anybody ever seen this guy? He looks real credible. Cosmologist Dr. Brian Keaton joins Unit 8200 own Marissa Straight to discuss the Big Bang, UFO, God's existence. Let me guess. Genesis is real. Kabbalah predicted all of it. And the UFOs are really demons and angels, right? He might be the alien, yeah.
Given how zoomed out it is, I'm kind of jealous because this
girl worked for Israeli government.
What is the claim that
it was Unit 8200, right? Is what she worked
America never made it to the moon, and why make that claim at all?
So this is one of the most depressing encounters that I've had. There's probably less than 5 people that believe that we didn't go to the moon that have academic credentials.
I've watched you debate Joe Rogan a couple of years ago. Your claim is that it is very unlikely that we've had visits from outside of our planet.
There has been an awful lot of secrecy. There's been a lot of government experts.
Did she say unlikely?
suppression, as
Why?
we know.
They have nothing to hide. What is the purpose of creating secrecy around it?
Encounters with advanced civilizations and primitive civilizations would inevitably lead to mass devastation. I never say I believe in God. I have evidence for it. If you asked before 1929 and you said, what's the scientific evidence that there was a Genesis event? There would have been none. Science's job is to change with time. My greatest hope is that
he's claiming there's evidence of Genesis now too. What do you know?
What my students do is prove me wrong.
Oh God, I want to watch this whole thing.
Ask you, what is it like to
Not right now, though.
work on the most zoomed out version of our existence?
Find him. But nowadays we can look through the telescope and not only see what Galileo saw, but also I never say I believe in gravity. If I take another, 1969 landed their famous.
Okay. I'm going to have to check this out and see the deets of what this guy says. I haven't heard of him, but I just saw, PragerU, and another people pushing the aliens thing. Okay, what else do we have here? Let's see this. Loomer, I saw this going around. I haven't watched it yet. Loomer, occupied government, before we get to the Daily Wire Klavan stuff. Check this out.
But Laura Loomer and Amy, what's her name, don't agree with that. So we can put up D4. This is who kicked this off. This is an online troll, Amy Meck.
I've never heard of this lady.
Yeah, she
Jewish,
just a random troll, basically.
Okay.
So she wrote, national security threat. DHS must deport Sammy Hamdi. A foreign national is moving freely
Oldcraft
across
sent
the United
$5
States.
from
Thank
one
you,
Yom
Oldcraft.
to another, and from one Sabbath to another. All mankind will come and bow down before me, says the Lord. And they will go out and look on the dead bodies of those who rebelled against me, Yahweh.
Yeah, cares about all human life, for sure. Thank you for that, Oldcraft. Okay, let's see. I don't know what's going on, but for sometimes when I go to full screen, it won't let me pause these videos. X's video players
Loomer
are
and
jacked.
Amy, what's her name, don't agree with that. So we can put up D4. This is who kicked this off. This is don't want to train anybody on digital agitation. Electoral sabotage, which means...
I thought so. I've never interacted with this girl, this Amy Meck girl that they're showing, but look, she has me blocked. Even though I've never had 500,000 followers. There's so many of these big accounts like this that I've never heard of. I've never trolled her. I've never said something mean to her. Never replied to her. Never even knew she existed. And then all the time I'll see these big accounts, 500,000 followers, has me blocked. I don't even know who they are. And something's going on. Elon's algorithm in X punishes me. I get it. They assume I'm a bad person because I'm harassing people when I'm just mass blocked, and that hurts me in my reach and suppresses my account. So keep that in mind. Keep that in context.
Persuading people to vote for somebody that she disagrees with, I guess.
Anti-Islam stuff. Yeah, it's like I'm on a list or something.
What is that? In alignment with Muslim Brotherhood doctrine. Sammy Hamdi is not a journalist passing through America. He is a deployed actor.
She might be affiliated with Loomer, possibly. 7,000 Club, yeah.
By now you could be okay, this is a crazy person. This is the rantings of a crazy person, which this is America. And I don't even know if she's in America, but it's America.
I was going to say, it's actually a good question.
Right, who knows? Yeah. Rant all you want. That is the beauty of this country. This unstable stuff should be, this is your right to say this kind of thing. In this country, though, in this moment, it goes crazy. So Laura Loomer, picks it up from here. Laura Loomer starts running this massive campaign, highlighting Amy Meck's stuff. And linking it to her intramural fight with Tucker and Candace Owens and Marjorie Taylor Greene, saying that, this coalition.
Dude, this is the worst.
And Hamas supporters and jihadists. Or
this guy is
going to undermine.
Just get to the point, bro. What happened? Did Loomer get some people fired or something? Is that what this is?
Sammy,
can't listen to this guy.
To give material support to a terrorist. You support what they're doing. In America, you're allowed to do that.
Yes.
That's what makes us different.
Okay, I don't want to see this guy ever again. What a crap show. breaking points. Okay, here's the viral video of Klavan at Daily Wire today.
Let me tell you what the Holocaust was, and this will. Let me tell you what the Holocaust was.
The Jewish Christian at Daily Wire.
Let me tell you what the Holocaust was, and this will drive some of you crazy, but it's true. The Holocaust was the crucifixion on IMAX. It was for those who missed the point the first time that this is who we are.
Like
this is who people are, that we will take on.
If
you don't think that Jesus bled when little children were led into a gas chamber, you don't know who Jesus Christ is. I don't care what you say. I don't care how many times you tell me Christ is king. You do not understand.
Who said that? It's like he's addressing Nick Fuentes. Did Fuentes say that Jesus wouldn't be sad for innocence that dies?
Understand what is going on, when you pour the let me tell you what the Holocaust was, and this will drive some of you crazy, but it's true. The Holocaust was the crucifixion on IMAX. It was for those who missed the point the first time that this is who we are. This is who people are, that we will
he's saying it's documented.
Don't think that Jesus bled when little children were led into a gas chamber. You don't know who Jesus Christ is. I don't care what you say. I don't care how many times you tell me Christ is king. You do not understand what is going on, when you pour the let me tell you what the Holocaust was, and
his whole argument is based on like the false premise that the people he's arguing against believe that happened. And say Christ is king. Oh, it's because they cheer on Hitler and say Christ is king. That's what he's addressing. Let's see. I thought I had another clip of him. Oh, this one.
God who chose the Jews became everybody's God through. I want to be clear about what I believe, and this.
Dude, this guy's spastic. Who listens to a creep like this?
Hatred of Jews is a hatred of God. Remember,
hating Jews is hating God. Listen, Goy, believe in Jesus, and hating Jews is hating God. What a scam. Nothing they hate more, by the way.
Paul said that we were grafted on to the tree of the Jews.
Get grafted in.
I was born there, so I outrank all y'all.
Ooh.
All right, I'm joking.
No, he's serious. He knows what he's talking about.
Jocelyn 8 sent $5 on Rumble.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
5,000 years ago in Neolithic Ireland, a mound at the Hill of Tara was oriented to capture the Samhain sunrise. Later, sacred bonfires were lit by druids using friction from a wheel symbolizing the sun.
Mound on the hill was oriented to capture this. That's cool. Samhain. Oh, Halloween sunrise. Nice. Later, sacred bonfires were lit by druids using frictions from a wheel symbolizing the sun. Friction from a wheel symbolizing the sun. Cool. Thank you, Jocelyn, for the lore, for the pagan lore, for the Viking queen lore. Appreciate that.
But still, this God who chose the Jews became everybody's God through Jesus Christ. And
doesn't that sound like a great deal? Praise Jesus. Listen, without Jesus, we wouldn't be able to be grafted in and worship the Jew God.
Became everybody's God through Jesus Christ. And I'm going to tell you something. This God who chose the Jews became everybody's God through Jesus Christ. And I'm going to tell you something. I want to be clear about what I believe. And
Jesus! Tell me, Jewish God!
Listen, don't boast against him. He's the root that supports you. Your salvation comes from the Jews, like Andrew Klavan. The historical Paul probably looked a lot like Andrew Klavan. He was the Andrew Klavan of the ancient world.
This hatred of Jews is a hatred of God. Remember, Paul said that we were...
Hating Jews is hating God. Makes you Amalek. You just got to be good Goy and bow down to the King of the Jews.
The Jews became everybody's God through Jesus Christ.
See, we all got to believe the God that chose the Jews through Jesus, okay? That's the deal. What does Anomaly say here? Does Christianity say this? Serious question, because I know this is common in Christian Zionist belief. Yeah, it says pay them. It says you should thank them for the spiritual blessings with your material blessings. That's what it says, actually, Anomaly. Yeah, and then he said joking. And yeah, you're grafted into the Jewish blessings. Okay, listen to what Nick says in response now to Andrew Klavan's things about the Holocaust.
Jewish convert to Christianity.
I want to hear.
Andrew Klavan is one of the lower-ranked hosts at Daily Wire. I think he gets the least views or engagement out of any of them.
Burn.
So he's the biggest loser at Daily Wire. He's ethnically Jewish, but he converted to Christianity. He works for Ben Shapiro at Daily Wire. And a lot of people might say, well, what more do you want? He converted to Christianity. He's not really Jewish, he's Christian now. He doesn't practice a Jewish religion, he practices a Christian religion. Well, what did Andrew Klavan have to say about my interview with Tucker Carlson as a Christian? I'm not making this up. This is not an exaggeration at all. Predictably, he brought up the Holocaust. And specifically about the Holocaust, he said that the Holocaust was worse than the crucifixion of Jesus Christ.
Hold on. I didn't hear him say it's worse. Did you hear that? He said Jesus cries for people who suffered in the Holocaust. He didn't say it's worse than the Holocaust. That wasn't in the clip I saw. Already, this is like bad framing. Wrong frame here, bro.
That's your Jewish convert to Christianity. He said specifically, he said the Holocaust was the crucifixion in IMAX. So you've got the Son of God.
That means it was documented like on the big screen. Because there was no camcorders or there was no
$5 on Rumble. Andrew looks like
no newspapers back then.
Emoji out of his shell. Smiley face emoji.
Andrew looks like a turtle out of his shell. Andrew, who are we talking? Oh, Andrew Klavan, turtle out of his shell. Yeah, he has the turtle look. Somebody should do a ChatGPT and turn him into a turtle. Yeah, an IMAX production.
Nailed to a cross and crucified by man, okay? Mankind killed God for nothing. They conspired, they betrayed him on false charges.
Killed God.
And then they executed him publicly in front of his mother.
Oh my God, it's so much worse.
God. And Andrew Klavan says, yeah, but you know what was way worse? The Holocaust.
Did he say that? I didn't hear him say it's worse. And what are you complaining about? Jesus dying and being crucified was the best thing that ever happened to Christianity. Christianity only exists because of it. It was God's plan. It was one bad weekend. It was God having to suffer as humans suffer in the likeness of man because a God can't suffer. So he had to become man to suffer, to atone for sin. Killed God. Killing God is way worse than people that actually suffer in the real world. They're like, no, it's way worse. It's the worst thing that's ever happened. It's like God did it on purpose. It's just so silly. Why is this always the discourse? Why are these the big clips that are going around everywhere today?
They betrayed him on false charges. They tortured him, and then they executed him publicly in front of his mother in the worst way possible.
In front of his mother.
And Andrew Klavan says, yeah, but you know what was way worse? The Holocaust. The Holocaust was like that times 1,000,000. That's a Christian? How are you a Christian? How are you meaningfully a Christian?
Okay, well, just say hypothetically, is one person being tortured and killed worse than 1,000,000 people being tortured and killed? Is 1,000,000 people being tortured and killed not worse? Hold on. Would millions of young white, young Italian little girls, 2-year-olds, all starved to death and died? Is that worse than Jesus dying? Or is nothing worse than Jesus dying? It's the worst thing that's ever happened, ever. But God did it to himself and his son. Like, this is just so not serious. What are we talking about here? Why are we fighting over ancient fairy tales?
He said the Holocaust was a crucifixion in IMAX. He said this had to happen to show people who didn't get the message the first time when Christ was crucified that this is how evil mankind really is. So I don't think it's an understatement to say that the Holocaust is literally their religion. And by
suffering is their religion. That's no doubt. They've related their religion to all of their sufferings so much. They're the suffering servant. They're persecuted and hated by Esau in exile.
I don't mean religious Jews. I mean Jews. I mean ethnic Jews. And that is such a thing. That is ethnic. It's heritage.
Yeah, it is their religion to be hated. And that the empires that they live in always want to ultimately end up genociding them. That is their religion. Victim persecution complex. Christians have the same thing, by the way. They inherited this.
It proceeds from the mother. If your mom's Jewish, you're Jewish. Like we're talking, it's genetic. That's how they identify. If you want to immigrate to Israel, you need to get a DNA test that proves you're ethnically Jewish. It's in your DNA. We're not talking about a religion. We're not talking about Zionism, an ideology.
Isn't it funny how there's two conflicting conspiracies in the E-Crusader world? One, they'll say, hey, bro, they're fake Jews. They're secretly Khazarians, and that's why DNA tests are outlawed in Israel. But then they'll also say, you have to do a DNA test to even move to Israel to prove you're Jewish. See how contradictory those two positions are?
Because Klavan converted to Christianity, but he still can't let that go. He still can't let it go. His ethnic pride, because that's really what this is.
Dude, what do you mean? Your Catholic Church is all over repenting for their role in World War II. It's not just him. It's your church. It's your Pope. We're going to play the clip of a Pope in a second condemning all forms of anti-Semitism. But you're going to lecture about what real Christianity is?
It's a form of ethnic narcissism. It blinds him. Because what I would say as a Catholic about the crucifixion is that we all killed Jesus. The Jews accused him. The Romans carried it out.
Everybody's responsible. See, it's actually not just the Jews. See, the Romans, Esau and Edom are to blame. Everybody's to blame. That really is the doctrine, too.
And this was a handshake between God's chosen, the Israelites, the Hebrews, and the nations, the Goyim, the nations, all the other tribes of the world. It was a
Chubb
handshake
sent
between them both.
$25. Do you girls like sex? Mine won't stop craving them. Raw, bloody, and screaming. Happy Halloween.
Steak is our number one go-to meal. Grass-fed ribeye or New York with some like baked vegetable or green or something. Yes, they love it. And especially after the gym days, grilling a steak is the way.
Kill God. And Jesus' blood is on all.
Are we still talking about killing God, dude?
The Hebrews, and the nations, the Goyim, the nations, all the other tribes of the world. It was a handshake between them both to kill God. And Jesus' blood is on all.
And none of this actually happened. This is all just citing the nations and the people plot in vain. What verse is that? It's cited in Acts. The peoples plot in vain. The world plots in vain. It's Psalm 2:1, the famous psalm, messianic psalm of 2. Chapter 2, why do the nations conspire and the peoples plot in vain? The triumph of the Messiah. It even says it's about the Messiah. See, there it is in Acts 13:33. He has fulfilled for us their children by raising up Jesus, as it is written. Oh, that's another verse being cited. You are my son, today I've become your father. None of this happened. The crucifixion didn't happen. They made up a story that it was the Jews and the Romans from a verse like this. Just like the rest of that, just like they quote mine the rest of Psalm 2 for details about the passion narrative of Jesus. You get that you are my son, today I become your father. That's quoted in the New Testament. And here's the key. I will make the Goyim your inheritance, the ends of the earth your possession. You will break them with a rod of iron or rule them with an iron scepter in the Septuagint. You will dash them to pieces like pottery. You rulers of the earth serve the Lord with fear and celebrate his rule with trembling. See, that's when Nick talks about the prophecy was fulfilled and the Messiah was crucified by the Goyim and the Jews. It's to conquer the world. That's the intent of this story, and it's fake. But here we are, pretending like it's all real, and this needs to be the number one concern, that they killed God.
Catholic about the crucifixion is that we all killed Jesus. The Jews accused him. The Romans carried it out.
I did not.
It was a handshake between God's chosen, the Israelites, the Hebrews.
False.
And the nations, the Goyim, the nations, all the other tribes of the world. It was a handshake between them both to kill God.
Oldcraft sent $5.
Kill
It's
God.
no wonder they've still got you suppressed after all these years. You have absolutely exposed the fatal absurdity of their Judeo-Christian paradigm.
It's crazy how exposing their religion, the whole construct, the whole paradigm is so blacklisted and suppressed. It's not even just me. There's no big influencers anywhere are reaching lots of people, like talking about how fake and Jewish the Bible is. The YouTube kosher approved influencers touch it with kid gloves. And that's it. Killed God. It was God who does a handshake with Satan and his Messiah to crucify his son to himself to fulfill his rules.
The Romans carried it out, and this was a handshake between God's chosen, the Israelites, the Hebrews, and the nations, the Goyim, the nations, all the other tribes of the world. It was a handshake between them both to kill God. And Jesus' blood is on all of our hands in that sense. We're all guilty of that. That's what I would say as a Christian. And this is the ultimate statement, which is that...
See, all of this running around, Jews killed God, when you actually pry a little deeper, it's, well, we all killed God. We all have the blood on our hands. And this is what Christianity did. It didn't just... It had, at the origins, it had the Jews as the opposition to Jesus, the God killers, the rejectors of the Messiah. But then the Jews, the Christians took that and expanded that view of Jews to any other person in the world that doesn't believe in the Messiah. That's why E. Michael Jones and these Christians run around calling us Jews because we don't bow down to the King of the Jews. That was the effect it had in the real world. So they're not just calling Jews satanic antichrists. They call Gentiles like us satanic antichrist for not believing in Jesus, the Jewish Messiah. That's the real world effect that it has with this rhetoric.
Blood is on all of our hands in that sense. We're all guilty of that. That's what I would say as a Christian. And this is the ultimate statement, which is that all of our sins put Christ on the cross, and all of the nations literally put Christ on the cross. And the message is that in order to observe Christ's sacrifice, that is why we must truly love everyone like we love ourselves. But for Klavan, his ethnic grievance is bigger. What happened to the Ashkenazim Jews in the 1940s, to him, is worse than killing God.
Again, I did not see him say it's worse. And so what would you say? Is anything worse than killing God? Or is the argument is that nothing's worse? That's the worst thing to ever happen. You're going to kvetch about it ever, but it's also the most important thing that ever happened. And God's plan to bring salvation to the world, you think, is the worst thing that ever happened. Do you see how this is just all such nonsense? It makes me really feel like I'm going crazy. But this is the discourse. Why is this the discourse? It's my biggest beef with Nick, that this is always the discourse. We're arguing about Dungeons and Dragons and Jewish fairy tales with Jews like Andrew Klavan and Ben Shapiro. That's where this has gotten us.
That's ethnic narcissism. That's ethnic pride. That's ethnic supremacy. That is somebody who is a racial idolater, which is the irony. They accuse us of being the white supremacist or the racist, race idolaters. There's nobody that's a bigger race idolater than them.
So now they sound like, you remember that the B'nai B'rith awarded the Pope, I think it was the Pope 11th, they gave him the award for opposing pagan racial idolatry. And now Nick, like the Catholic he is, condemning Jews for racial idolatry, just like the Jews celebrated the Pope for condemning the Nazi racial idolatry. Yeah. No, you can't have any. The Volca Spirit is here. Isn't that a good thing to bring up? Didn't Nick just do exactly what B'nai B'rith awarded the Pope for? Maybe he'll be getting his ADL B'nai B'rith award now for condemning racial idolatry.
He says our genocide was the crucifixion of God in IMAX. What a statement. How could any Christian be okay with that? And in some ways, I understand what he's getting at. And maybe you could say that in a different way, but the way he said it proves what this guy's really...
Hold on, what does the Pope say? I got a good Pope. Let's quote some of your popes about what they have to say about this issue. And we'll see who's actually more aligned with your church and your authority. How about, is this the one? Oh, nameless Euro 200
$200. Sorry, I'm dropping in late. We got rained out. Not sure what topic you're on, but wanted to contribute. One of my biggest pet peeves are when people say we are a Judeo-Christian nation. No, read The Age of Reason. Our founders were smarter than that.
Yeah, they were. It bothers me too. Rewriting history. Thank you so much, my European bro. My nameless European bro.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Smashing the goal.
All right.
Mrs. No More News is going to be very pleased thanks to you, sir. So here's the Pope. Talks about the Jews and Christians and their relationship. He says, the church sincerely regrets the terrible persecutions which they have endured, the Jews, and continue to endure, especially those that have involved Christians. God continues to work among them, people of the old covenant, to bring forth treasures of wisdom. I know I have something else that was good, too, about the Pope, but it's not coming up right now. Maybe it's on my Twitter. It says, like, that they bear the mark of Cain for the persecution and that they're, like, praying for repentance or something along the lines of that. The mark of Cain. Here it is. The mark of Cain is stamped upon our foreheads. Across the centuries, our brother Abel, the Jews, was lain in blood which we drew, and shed tears we cause for forgetting thy love. Lord, for the curse we falsely attributed to their name as Jews, forgive us for crucifying thee a second time in their flesh, meaning the Holocaust and persecution. That's what he's referring to right here. What, Pope John the 23rd? Pretty sure he's referring to the Holocaust right here. Crucifying thee a second time. So comparing the crucifixion of Jews, you have Pope John the 23rd comparing. Dude, this is a slam dunk on Fuentes' whole argument.
To me that not even other atheists on YouTube cover this, even though the green pill is such an obvious conclusion to come to. That's why when I do donate, it's the green pill above all others.
Thank you. Dude, hey Nick, go check out Pope John the 23rd. Pope John 23rd. Let's see. Comparing, just like Klavan just compared the Holocaust to the crucifixion of Jesus, Pope John the 23rd did the same thing. And he's the one that convened the Second Vatican Council, by the way. So much for that argument, kvetching bro. You ain't going to win with this talking point with your church.
The crucifixion of God in IMAX. What a statement. How could any Christian be okay with that? And in some ways, I understand what he's getting at. And maybe you could say that in a different way, but the way he said it proves what this guy's really about. That was his reaction.
I need to share this. Watch this. Hold on. I need to bring that back up and share it. Watch this. Quote. What Christian would be okay with saying that? Boom. Let's see. Vatican apologizes to Jews. Do we put this one in here too? The Roman Catholic Church formally apologized today for failing to take more decisive action in challenging the Nazi regime during World War II to stop the extermination of more than 6 million. In a long way to document the church's role in the Holocaust, the Vatican defended Pope Pius XII, who headed the church during the war, from accusations that he turned a blind eye to the systemic killing of Jews. Some critics say Pius was motivated by the church's religious prejudices dating back to the death of Jesus Christ. I'm formally apologizing. Boom. Am I pulling the receipts on Fuentes today or what? The B'nai B'rith thing and then now that? Look at this. Was Pope John Paul II's religion the Holocaust? At Auschwitz, he says, I kneel at this Golgotha of the modern world. Golgotha is the skull. What is it? The mountain of the skull, the hill of the skull, that where Jesus supposedly died. Comparing it to Auschwitz. Again, there's another receipt. Hitler hated Christ. What did the Pope say? Auschwitz, along with so many other concentration camps, remains the horribly eloquent symbol of totalitarianism. Our duty, blah, blah, blah. He said, I kneel at this Golgotha of the modern world, comparing it to the crucifixion. That's probably where Klavan got it. Mount Klavan. Dude, talk about like L arguments here. Saying shit that just hands them easy W's. Wow. Okay, so here, Daily Wire just hired Pints with Aquinas, who has 700,000 followers on YouTube. So they're hiring another Catholic at the Kosher Daily Wire because there's nothing they fear more. And we got some clips from their latest panel with their new employee here. Let's watch some of these.
Because we are bringing on the beloved host of Pints with Aquinas, Matt Fradd. Matt, welcome.
G'day, fellas. It's nice to be here.
G'day, mate.
I've admired you guys from afar, and I've seen that admiration just steadily plummet as I've gotten to know you, but here we are.
That's funny.
Well, I mean, first of all, I have to say I've done a terrible job here with my Jew propaganda outfit, where apparently I hire and am involved in hiring only Catholics.
No. That's great Jewish propaganda, bro. You had Jordan Peterson to promote Christianity too. We know the playbook. We know what Ben Shapiro is up to with all of his promoting of Christianity. For America to flourish, we need more people who are Christians to declare Christ as king and go back to church. Ben Shapiro, who wrote an article about how Christianity is Noahides for the Gentiles. Noahide laws. Like his friend Dennis Prager says as well. He's like, my Jewish propaganda is so bad, that's why I'm hiring all these Christians. Au contraire. Actually, this is complete vindication.
Here we are.
Well, I mean, first of all, I have to say I've done a terrible job here with my Jew propaganda outfit, where apparently I hire and am involved in hiring only Catholics. Literally only Catholics. Yeah. It's like Knowles and Walsh and Isabel and UMatt. I don't know what's either it's an unstoppable force, or I'm really bad at my job. And it could be both. I mean, it could be both.
Ben Shapiro, nothing Ben Shapiro hates more than Christians. He's trying to destroy Christianity. He goes and visits the Pope. He embraces the Pope. They both got their small hats on. He's giving him gifts. Yeah, dude, it's how much case closed. Oh, my Jew propaganda is so bad, I'm hiring all these Catholics. They're like, nothing Jews fear more than Catholics. See Through It All says that's the guy who talked 7 Noahide laws with Shapiro. Pints with Aquinas did? You have that clip? Share that. See Through It All? If you can find it, I'll share that. I'll play that clip of them talking about Noahides. That was his job interview, basically saying, like, I'll be a good Noahide for you. I was also going to look up, because I have
those things.
Ben Shapiro with this other Christian guy here that he interviewed on his show. This other Catholic guy. But there's another Catholic guy that Ben Shapiro interviewed also that was really kosher. I was going to search while one of these videos was playing. See Through It All, I was going to search your account for Shapiro to see if I can find those compilations.
It's actually.
Claven, you texted me and said that there are more Catholics at Daily Wire than at the Vatican, and I wasn't sure if you knew that may have been.
We're the real Catholics now,
Vatican or not, but it was good.
I actually am impressed that the Catholics are actually getting nicer. I mean, I actually like Matt, which is as opposed to these guys, and it is getting to be. It's like the Vatican except for straight people. It's so it's really it's really exciting.
Dude, they just take it. They're just like, yeah, we're a bunch of pedos. Yep, can't deny that.
The clip.
Now, what do they know on him? Is he secretly gay? Is he secretly gay and they're going to blackmail him and control him and keep his secret so that he can shill for Israel with all his might?
I object on the record to that.
Here's a sub.
That's funny. Object on the record. He's thinking, oh, you better say something. You can't let these Jews hate on your Catholic Church.
It's an unstoppable force.
Okay, we played that already.
Tell me that God...
Here, this is an interview with Ben Shapiro and a Catholic.
In the New Testament, Paul says in Romans 11, all Israel will be saved. That is the purpose and plan of God. There is a Christian kind of popular doctrine that I reject with all my heart, and that is that the church has replaced Israel in the promises of God. It's called supersessionism. I don't believe in that. I think that, honestly, hate to say this, but I honestly think it is a latent form of anti-Semitism to say that. You can't tell me that God made promises in the Old Testament to his people Israel concerning his future kingdom and salvation, and that he would give them a new heart and a new spirit, and he would write his laws in their heart, and they would be saved, and he would be their king, and they would be his people, and all those kingdom prophecies. You can't possibly tell me that God didn't mean what he said. And the New Testament, Paul says in Romans 11, all Israel will be saved. That is the purpose and plan of God.
It's all the plan to save Israel. Okay, let's see. This might
remedy
be the
to
mix.
heal a sick culture. I ask every guest this. If you could offer one remedy to heal a sick culture, it could be physically, emotionally, or spiritually. What would that remedy be?
Go to church. Go to church. I say this is a Jew. Go to church.
Why do you say that as a Jew?
Because this is a Christian country. And I want Jews to go to synagogue, but there ain't that many of us. So if you're a Christian, or if you grew up in a Christian household, even if you didn't, go to church. Church is good for you. I've said that my entire career. Charlie said it his entire career. It ain't going to stop now. Keep going to church. It'll save the country if you go to church.
Oh,
go to church. It'll see this country will be saved if you go to church. Go to your church, Goyim, and worship the God that chose me. Go to the church and talk and read.
That's just what his employee just said. You're anti-Jew, you're anti-God, and Jesus grafted in the whole world to worship the God that chose the Jews. That's the shtick. And he's like laughing like, oh, my Jew propaganda is so bad. I'm hiring all these Catholics. Wrong. That is the propaganda.
Torah, Goyim.
If you're a Catholic, you should absolutely go to church more often. Let's put it this way. The idea in Judaism...
I don't know how this cast it.
Nomers of sort of doesn't feel the necessity to force... to evangelize and to bring... Because Judaism doesn't actually suggest... Being chosen doesn't mean being superior. Right?
Doesn't mean superior, but then hearing another clip of him promoting Noahide laws with... Okay, that would be a good question, conspiracy truther. Some should ask him if Muslims should keep going to mosques. I bet you he'd probably say yes. He'd be like, yeah, go to like a good version.
Particular answer, but I know there have been some jokes about, you know, if I were to convert, would I end up as a Catholic or a Protestant? And I've offended both parties by suggesting that well, I have tremendous sympathy for the rules-based order that the Catholics provide. If I were going to ditch an even more rules-based order, I'd go all the way and it'd be party time, and I'm going full Protestant. So I've pissed off everybody with that particular answer, but. I know there have been some jokes about, you know, if I were to convert, would I end up as a Catholic or a Protestant? And
he says he'd be a Protestant.
Both parties by suggesting that, well, I have tremendous sympathy for the rules-based order that the Catholics provide. If I were going to ditch an even more rules-based order, I'd go all the way and it'd be party time, and I'm going full Protestant.
Full evangelical, Ziocuct, Shabbos Goy, Noahide Protestant. Duh, that's what they would encourage. But he still greatly admires the Catholic Church and will hire a bunch of traditional Catholics to tell you to Judaize it and kosherize it even more than it already is.
That the Catholics are actually getting nicer. I mean, I actually like Matt, which is as opposed to these guys. And it is getting to be, it's like the Vatican except.
Okay, we've seen this one. All right, now here's the Pope. I like what Need More Amalek wrote here. He says, I'm not a Christian or a Catholic, but every day Pope Leo answers my prayer to roast these freaks and losers online who tell us the Catholic Church is compatible with being pro-white or counter-Semitic. This will not relent, e-Crusaders. He will be around for years. Yeah, he's going to be around for another 20, 30 years, and there's nothing you can do about it. Hail Pope Leo, slayer of the e-Crusader retards. Pope posted 2 days ago, Nostra Aetate takes a firm stand against all forms of anti-Semitism. Thus, in its following chapter, it teaches that we cannot truly call on God, the Father of all, if we refuse to treat in a brotherly or sisterly way any man or woman created in the image of God. Indeed, the Church rejects all forms of discrimination and harassment because of race, color, condition of life, or religion. See, people aren't necessarily born religious, though. They have to believe in the religion. They have to practice their religion. That is a choice. And you cannot, and he's opposing. So you're anti-Judaism? You think Judaism is a threat to the world? You think it's a lie? You think it's a scam? Well, the Pope condemns you. You condemn Torah-based Judaism in the Old Testament, the Pope condemns you as anti-Semitic. And we hear online, I see videos, I know I covered a video a couple weeks ago, it was like Myron from Fresh and Fit and some Gorper guy, they were like, yeah, there's nothing the Jews fear more than Catholics and the Catholic Church. Meanwhile, their popes are all out here apologizing and begging for forgiveness and repentance from the past persecutions and clearly stating and denouncing and condemning anti-Semitism in all forms.
Doveva così prendere forma un trattato dottrinale.
Not in English. All right, he writes, it should not be forgotten that the first focus was toward the Jewish world, with which St. John the 23rd intended to reestablish the original relationship. For the first time in the history of the Church, a doctrinal treatise on the Jewish roots of Christianity was to take shape. All right, guys. Hey, it's not just dispensationalists. It's not just Schofield and Christian Zionist. All the copers about Judeo-Christianity is not a thing. Your Pope and your church confirms, just like Paul confirmed, the root and the branch, that Christianity has Jewish roots. It is Jewish. It is Judaism for the Gentiles. A bond spiritually ties the people of the new covenant to Abraham's stock, meaning the Jews. Thus, the Church of Christ acknowledges that according to God's saving design, the beginnings of her faith and her election are found already among the patriarchs, Moses and the prophets. In this way, the Church, mindful of the patrimony she shares with the Jews, and moved not by political reasons, but by the gospel's spiritual love, decries hatred, persecution, displays of anti-Semitism directed against Jews at any time and by anyone. The Christians become the biggest and greatest defenders and allies of the Jews, especially against types like Nick Fuentes or these e-crusaders, because they're doing it in the name of Jesus. All they're serving is to delegitimize the opposition, become the villains, give the Jews their victim status, make normal, reasonable people have sympathy with them for these guys like online that are saying they're God slayers and worship the devil and all this stuff like this, the synagogue of Satan. Since then, all my predecessors have condemned anti-Semitism with clear words, and so I too confirm that the Church does not tolerate anti-Semitism and fights against it on the basis of the gospel itself. Today we look with gratitude at everything that has been achieved. Hear that, E. Michael Jones? Today we look with the gratitude at everything that has been achieved in Jewish-Catholic dialogue during these 6 decades. This is due not only to human effort, but to the assistance of our God, who, according to Christian conviction, is dialogue itself. Okay, that's enough. So, and to the e-crusaders, just waving your hand and saying he's not a real pope, or that's just Vatican II, or he's secretly satanic, or, you know, they wave their hand and they go, all our Zionist politicians, they're not real Christians. They're not the real Christians. The ones with all the power, all the real power, they're not the real Christians. The Pope's not a real Christian. Like, come on, cut the bullshit. They have all the real power. And you're anons on the internet that are being banned and fringe and only play the discredited opposition.
At the same time, because our Christian faith has its roots in God's plan of salvation, which began with his chosen people.
Dude, your salvation began with the chosen people, okay, Goy? No, Zionist cuck says better move to orthodoxy. Wrong. No, we'll include them into wrong. We've read their Ortho Bro study Bible. We know how kosher it is. We've seen the J. Dyer compilations. We did it last stream. We're not going to do it again today. How kosher and Jewish it all is.
Began with his chosen people. The church has a special love and reverence for the Jewish people. At the same time, the world needs more than ever the power.
The Lord has what was that? A special reverence and love, special for the chosen people. The church has a special love for the Jews.
Special love and reverence for the Jewish people. At the same time, the world needs more than ever the powerful witness of men and women of all religions living together in unity, friendship, and cooperation. Because our Christian faith has its roots.
Super based. Hey, we're never going to beat Zog. We're never going to beat the Jews unless we're Catholic, right, guys? Right, you crusaders? All these lying, coping Catholics online. Here's the interview with Ben Shapiro and Pints with Aquinas. This was his job interview. Ben Shapiro's new hire, a docile, obedient Noahide slave. Let's check this.
This is one of the things when we talk about the
West
and Western civilization, that a muscular pursuit of religious values, and in the West, you're talking Christian values, is absolutely necessary to the upholding of the West, that all the fundamental premises of the West are built on these Christian values. The reason people say Judeo-Christian is just because many of those values are held in common with Judaism, and obviously Christianity and the New Testament are based on the Old Testament originally. But the eternal values of Judeo-Christianity, of biblical living, those haven't changed with time, and they can't change with time, and they shouldn't change. This is one of the things that I think is so fascinating about Catholicism, I've talked about this with Bishop Barron, is that Catholicism, Christianity started off as a rip on Phariseeism, obviously, from a philosophical level, right?
Our top guy was doing that, yeah.
Right,
a rip.
And again, that's actually nothing new in sort of Jewish history. And
our top guy, he says Paul, their top guy, was a Pharisee.
Sense that Jeremiah does the same thing, right? If you read the prophets are constantly saying things like, does God need your sacrifices? He needs you to be kind to the poor. He needs you to give charity. He needs you to think about virtue. Does he really need like roast meat? Right? That's actually, Jesus is saying something, that's why Jesus is Jewish. I mean, he's not saying anything that's actually super foreign.
He never said it. He never said it. They just took the words of Jeremiah and put them into the mouth of the fictional Jesus on paper.
Watch how Catholics practice and how Orthodox Jews practice.
There is similarity.
There's a lot of similarity there.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that we kept the moral law, not the Mosaic law, because the understanding was now that the Mosaic law wasn't what justified you or saved you or something like that. I have another question for you. Why don't you want me to be a Jew, or do you?
I don't care.
Yeah, so why?
Why? Because
I want you to be Catholic, obviously.
Right. No.
Yeah.
And by the way, I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this is what I've always said to my Catholic friends, my Protestant friends.
Yeah.
As long as you're coming at me with a book and not a sword, that's great.
And they're not being annoying and
exactly.
just berating you or something like that.
I mean, even if you want to be annoying about it, that's fine. Like, you care enough about my soul that you want me to be saved. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's much appreciated, and we'll find out in the overtime period who is right and who is wrong. But
why? Yeah. Why don't
you see? They have zero concern about being wrong. According to the Christians, it's like they think the Jews really know Jesus is the Messiah, but they're just so evil and satanic that they rejected him anyway. Like, no, they know that it's Jewish bullshit, and they're not worried in the slightest about Jesus returning and casting them into the lake of fire. They don't fear the name of Jesus at all. They laugh that all the billions of Goyim bow down to the King of the Jews and worship the God of Israel. Bibi said the same thing. Exactly, Vrilzer. They all say it. Dude, these rabbis, not a single bone in their body is worried about Jesus being real and returning and conquering them.
Because we talked about earlier about the only reason you should believe something is because it's true.
Right.
You presumably believe I believe falsehoods and you believe true things. So why shouldn't you encourage me to abandon some of my beliefs and adopt some of yours?
Right. So doctrinally, what Judaism believes is that the commandments of Israel were only given to Israel.
Okay.
Meaning that the 7 Noahide commandments that I referred to earlier, those are incumbent on all of humanity because they're given to Noah, right before the Jews actually arise as an independent family and people. Mm-hmm. And so those apply to everyone. So if you're not a member...
Dude, this is verbatim what Jay Dyer said in the clip I posted the other day. I'm going to go find it just so I can show you. Verbatim.
That you want me to be saved. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's much appreciated, and we'll find out in the overtime period who is right and who is wrong. But
why don't you? Because we talked about earlier about the only reason you should believe something is because it's true.
Right.
You presumably believe I believe falsehoods, and you believe true things. So why shouldn't you encourage me to abandon some of my beliefs and adopt some of yours?
Right. So doctrinally, what Judaism believes is that the commandments of Israel were only given to Israel.
Okay.
Meaning that the 7 Noahide commandments that I referred to earlier, those are incumbent on all of humanity because they're given to Noah, right before the Jews actually arise as an independent family and people.
Mm-hmm.
And so those apply to everyone. So if you're not a member of the Judaic tribe, then those rules don't apply to you. So the 613 commandments that apply to me are boiled down to 7 for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that means is that if you want to join in to do those commandments, like that's not required of you. Like sure, you welcome if you want, but certainly Judaism doesn't feel the necessity to force
to evangelize and to bring people
because
into
Judaism doesn't actually suggest being chosen doesn't mean being superior, right? I think this is one of the great misnomers of sort of history is that when the Jews say that they're a chosen people, what they mean is that they're better than everyone else. And it's like, no, in the same way that if I choose my oldest child.
Imagine thinking that the God of the universe chose your special people for a special divine mission and role, but that doesn't mean you're better. Like, cut the bullshit, dude. Here's Dyer confirming the same thing. Thank you, Thunderstorm.
Thunderstorm 9 sent $5 on Rumble. Jews literally worship multiple deities of their pantheon with Kabbalah while you worship one of their rabbis. It's right in front of you. Wake up.
Yeah. They would argue though that they're not the ultimate God. They're just more like lesser angels.
And I mean, we look at Acts 15 where this question comes up about how should Gentile converts be received into the church.
Green
Pill Muslim.
$20. Did
nice
you cover
name.
Israel's ceasefire violation? 1 IDF dead to 100 Gaza civilians killed and Trump's cooked response? Big fan, bro.
Yeah, I think that was a couple streams ago, right? I talked about how they broke the ceasefire, and then they asked Trump on the plane with Rubio, and they're like, well, they're still allowed to defend themselves. Like, so it's not a ceasefire. They can still bomb whenever they want. I think there's been even more of that since then, too. I think I saw also. Of course they are. It's a Jewish ceasefire where they're allowed to still keep attacking. But if I don't even think, like, ceasefire has Gaza fired one of their bottle rockets since October 7th? Ceasefire? You mean tell Israel to stop bombing? Has Hamas fired anything since October 7th?
And the church decides in Acts 15 that God wouldn't require anything more than what was required of Noah. So Acts 15 actually looks back to the Noahic covenant to say that since Christianity is true Israelite worship for the nations, that's our view of it, we're going to bring the Gentile converts in on the basis of what was expected in the Noahic covenant.
So exactly what Ben Shapiro says. Do you realize that Jay Dyer is the Noahide follower of Ben Shapiro's God that chose him? R.I.P. E-Crusaders. There is no Christianity without the Judeo part, right? Yeah, ceasefire is, Biodigital Goblin says, you cease, we fire. That's a Jewish ceasefire.
Take out the trash. That doesn't mean that my oldest child is better. It means I need my oldest child to take out the trash. Like, that's not the same thing.
Okay.
And so the sort of idea that Jews are...
Dude, if I said one of my daughters is chosen and the other's not, and let's get real. The Bible says, Jacob I loved, Esau I hated, and you interpret Esau to mean the non-Jewish world. So cut the bullshit. It says you're above the other nations. Above doesn't mean superior. Above doesn't mean better. It also says you're the apple of his eye and his treasured possession, but it doesn't mean better. It doesn't mean we're superior. Like, yeah, right. Stop lying. We're not stupid.
Are in their own minds superior to everybody else because it is incumbent on them to do that. That's obviously not how Jews think, especially because there are a bunch of commandments that are incumbent on men in Judaism that are not incumbent on women in Judaism. Does Judaism then believe that women are of lesser value than men? I mean,
but apart from little laws, there must be like metaphysical things that you hold as true that you would like me to believe. Or at least you would like me I don't mean to be confrontational, but you would clearly would want Christians to realize that Christ was not the Messiah, that he didn't. Maybe you don't want that, or maybe
he doesn't care.
You don't care one way or
the
other.
Right.
It's fine. It's fine. He's gonna cite Maimonides saying Jesus prepared the world and straightened the path and turned the world to the God of Israel. That was he gonna say, right? It's coming.
But like when I look at Mormons, you know,
let him answer, bro.
And this isn't a criticism on you directly, but Joseph Smith was not a prophet. My Muslim friend, I love you, but like Muhammad was a liar or a lunatic. Maybe he was possessed, but he wasn't a prophet.
Right. So
I have to say that in love, and so I would wonder. And maybe it's just that you have a public platform, and so you don't want to get into that to offend people unnecessarily. But
it really isn't that. I mean, the Jewish doctrine is that as long as you believe in God, as long as the actual.
What the? 4:15, huh?
And so I would wonder, and maybe it's just that you have a public platform, and so you don't want to get into that to offend people unnecessarily.
But it really isn't that. I mean, the Jewish doctrine is that as long as you believe in God, as long as the actual seven commandments to non-Jews are believe in God, no eating the flesh of living animals, actually one of them. You have to establish courts of law.
Worship the God that chose me. You got to worship the God that chose me. You can't blaspheme. You can't blaspheme that God, and blaspheming Jews is blaspheming God because we made up God and we're his chosen people. And no idol worship, none of your stupid pagan, demon, satanic gods. Everybody must be under the dominion of the Jewish God that chose me. No big deal.
No murder, no sexual sins, no idolatry,
no idolatry.
It's no racial idolatry. None of your pagan gods. No big deal. Sign right up.
It's like seven of the 10 of the Big Ten, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't actually believe that non-Jews are even bound by the 10 Commandments, right? They're bound by the 7 Commandments in Judaism. So it like boils even further down. So
don't even worry, Goy. You're not bound by 10 or 613. It's only 7. We bound you to only 7 laws. Like, don't worry about it. It's only 7 that you're obligated to do according to our Jewish traditions. But we're not proselytizing.
Dude, how does anybody fall for this shit?
Believe in God is of little consequence to me so long as you do believe in the monotheistic God.
What if I believe in a God that lives on...
Otherwise you're Amalek and you will be cut off and you have no share in the world to come and you will be destroyed. And blotted out, your memory blotted out forever if you don't worship the Yahweh and Hashem, the God that chose me.
7 of the 10 of the Big Ten, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't actually believe that non-Jews are even bound by the 10 Commandments, right? They're bound by the 7 Commandments in Judaism.
Hey.
So it like boils even further down. So how you believe in God is of little consequence to me so long as you do believe in the monotheistic God.
What if I believe in a God that lives on top of a mountain and whose...
Rochelle sent $5. If God would have chosen to love Jews the best, we wouldn't be in this mess right now.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, God.
Thanks a lot, God. Help me, Jewish God.
Help me, Jewish God.
His name is Jeffrey.
So if he doesn't,
and I say that's God,
and
I believe
fulfill the fundamental properties of God, then that doesn't count.
Which would be what?
So the fundamental properties of God would be that he's in charge of the universe, creator of the universe, master of the divine law.
Hey, Zeus or Odin created the universe. What now, Shapiro? What now, Shapiro? You gonna call me Amalek? You gonna pray for your Moshiach to come so I can be decapitated? What? What now?
All powerful, all knowing, all loving would probably be in that category. There's debate in sort of Jewish circles as to whether you have to believe that God gave the commandments at Sinai, whether that's a debate between a couple of major rabbis, Maimonides included, as to whether if you discover those 7 laws on your own, but you don't believe that they were given at Sinai, does that count? Right? So there is some doctrinal debate there.
Which is even worse. This is what they always say, right, See Theodore? They say that you can't just follow the laws because they're common sense. But you have to follow the laws because God said so. Like, you have to be a bitch about it. You got to get punked by God. Otherwise, they don't count. So if you're just a good person and you just naturally don't murder or steal or do any of these bad things, or you're just naturally like agnostic and don't believe in pagan gods, so no idolatry, or it's not good enough. Some rabbis say you have to do it only because the Jews tell you God says so. I always thought that was funny. It's funny how Shapiro emphasizes that part.
But in general, the basic idea that there is only one path to God in the same way that there is in Christianity.
I see.
That doesn't exist in the same way.
What about like a Mormon who believed that God was once a man like we are? Like, would you go, okay, I'm not saying you've given much thought about this, but would that be a place where you'd be like, no, I need to evangelize you, or not that word, but I need you to come to believe in God differently than you currently do?
So the answer to me is, I'm going to go with the I don't know answer. like pretty much everything
You
else
both get
in Judaism,
three.
there's like major debate on all of these things. And there's a debate for a long time in Judaism over whether, say, Trinitarianism is monotheism or if it's not monotheism.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's like that was a serious debate in Judaism. It's come down.
Yeah, that's like their only problem with Christianity is the Trinity. And it's not even a problem with all of them. It is a debate if that's shatuf or not, if it's okay for the Gentile heathens to have a form of idolatry as long as it gets them to worship the God of Israel. Swindler's List says, you can't just follow our laws, you also have to be our bitch. True.
I need to evangelize you, or not that word, but I need you to come to believe in God differently than you currently do.
So the answer to me is, I'm going to go with the I don't know answer. like pretty much everything else in Judaism,
three.
there's like major debate on all of these things. And there's a debate for a long time in Judaism over whether, say, Trinitarianism is monotheism or if it's not monotheism. Right? Like that's like that was a serious debate in Judaism. It's come down on the side of it's monotheism.
Okay.
Here, Ben Shapiro considers even Trinitarian Christians as still being monotheistic. So you're not considered pagan idolaters that are going to be beheaded in the end time. Only the pagans are. The Jews' only problem with Christianity is that it has pagan elements in it. It's not fully Jewish enough. That's their only problem with it. And then the only Christian problem that they have with Judaism is it doesn't follow their flavor of Judaism and believe in who they think the Messiah is. It's so also superficial and like extremely limited in scope of what's actually being debated here.
So I wouldn't know the answer as far as, Mormon doctrine specifically. Let's put it this way. If you're talking about like paganism, Judaism would have a problem with paganism.
Yeah, there it is.
That you believed.
So paganism, bad. Christianity, good. Ben Shapiro. And these Christians online, these e-crusaders still can't get it. He hired another top Catholic influencer because you still don't get it.
That there were 100 gods and they all ruled over different aspects of humanity. Then Judaism would say that does not fulfill the seven.
And if you were in dialogue with somebody...
Christians, Noah Hyde compliant. We just saw Jay Dyer and Ben Shapiro confirm it. And pagans, not Noah Hyde compliant. Yeah, nobody believes they are chosen other than Jews and Christianity. And Muslims to a degree. Yeah, you're Jewish if you don't believe we are the real Jews.
Like this, would you feel obligated to try to help divest them of that error so that they could be saved?
Sure. I mean, so then I would feel obligated to actually, in the same way that if somebody believed that adultery was morally acceptable, I would feel the obligation to say, well, no, adultery is not.
Okay, great find. Thank you, See Through It All. Great clip. By the way, on the pagan front, look, Josh Hammer, who's seething over Tucker Carlson interviewing Fuentes, he wrote a piece in the Daily Mail, I think it was, even though he's the editor of Newsweek, if he's still doing that. What am I looking for? Oh yeah, look at how Josh Hammer summarizes Fuentes and Tucker Carlson. He says they hope to burn down MAGA and build a neo-pagan, anti-Western, anti-biblical movement in its stead. So the Jewish Josh Hammer is accusing Fuentes and Tucker Carlson of being neo-pagans and anti-biblical. So funny that's the insult. Fuentes and Tucker all day and the E-Crusaders are like, those you neo-pagans, every knee will bow to Christ, to bow to Moshiach. And then this is like the meme. I'm pretty sure we have a meme for this. How funny is it that the Jew is calling Fuentes a neo-pagan because he's not following the Bible correctly? And who was it the other day? Somebody called the Jewish... Elijah Schaefer tweeted. He said that the Western Wall is pagan. That's what he said. Or you'll see these Christians claim that Jews are actually pagans. I love how they're all fighting, accusing each other of being pagans. Like that's the worst evil thing. Pagan idolatry is anything that's not Jewish, according to the Rebbe. Yeah, if only this were true. Hey, Nick, dude, give me a wink. Let me know. Send a DM. If you're secretly a neo-pagan that's anti-biblical, somebody should have sent me the memo. If only the leading now mainstreamed opposition to Judaism in Israel was neo-pagan and anti-biblical. If only. It's funny how they accuse Nick of that. That should be a wake-up call that that's what they actually fear. That's what they actually consider the threat in the opposition. Very illuminating to their mindset of what they actually worry about. Neo-pagan, anti-biblical. L. Christian L. Dinesh D'Souza says on the Pope's statement again, this statement is confirmation that the Jewish root of Christianity is not some late-term Protestant Schofield Zionist dispensational theology. It is the core deposit of the Christian faith, Catholic and Protestant and Orthodox. Those who reject it reject Christianity itself. Yeah, if you have a problem with Jesus being Jewish and Christianity being a spin-off of a Jewish religion, then you have a problem with the Bible. But the kosher conspiracy pipeline carries on, as Freemason Chase Geyser posts here to 4,000 likes. Let's turn this down a bit and I'll read this for you. If the conspiracy rabbit holes haven't brought you to Christ, you haven't dug deep enough. You got to keep digging to find the interdimensional clockwork elves and the fallen angels and the Nephilim and the satanic occult adrenochrome baby sacrificers. See how the conspiracy theory culture, the conspiracy internet online subculture is a pipeline to controlled opposition pipeline that leads you into Messiah worship, that leads you to Moshiach. The satanic Luciferian globalists, demon worshipers, hate nothing more than you to believe in Jesus, the King of the Jews, is the only answer, the only solution. This is the Judeo paradigm. If you haven't figured out that the Bible and Jesus, the Jewish king, is the bottom of the conspiracy, then you haven't dug deep enough. If you haven't dug deep enough down the rabbi hole, if you haven't found Rabbi Jesus. That's the real truth. That is the real truth. I saw a funny AI video the other day where somebody made Jesus coming down from the clouds and he like shot fireballs at all the anti-Semitic Christians. That's what it was. Fuck, where was that? I don't think I'd have to dig for that. Kosher conspiracy to Yahweh Moshiach pipeline every single time is the way it goes down.
Hello, white. Hello, fellow whites.
Wow. That's what conspiracy nightmares are made of.
Fellow whites.
That's how I see Jesus. That's what he looks like in my head. That's how I imagine him.
Hello.
Okay. While we're on the topic of crazy Christians, check out this one.
Talk to me.
This guy's just going to go do a little prayer. Whoa. When the Holy Spirit hits.
Okay. So
this isn't AI, right? Dude.
Because I'm Jesus.
Dude, crazy Christian.
You have some friends around here or something?
Challenge impossible. Brain bleed for Jesus?
I mean, for me to help you, you have to talk to me.
Isn't it funny how the crazies gravitate to Christianity? Yes. Dear God. Uh-oh. Whoa. That's Jesus casting him down for desecrating his cross. It's real? That's how I screamed when they tried to baptize me. Like a demon.
Step back. Get back.
Shoot him.
20, can you step up? 616, can you get over here?
Ooh, that one was bad. He's out. Wow. Christians would be like, see, proof, demons. Proof he's a demon. Shoot the demon. He's having a big tech moment. That's funny. Yeah, demons are real. Here's the proof. Possessed by God. What is this? Rabbi Palvanov talks about ceremonies in the temple where they would trip balls. Now I understand why they want their temple back. Secrets of Sukkot.
Climax of the whole Yom Kippur. What's the main
What are they taking?
sense of Yom Kippur? The sense of Rosh Hashanah is hearing. What's the sense of Yom Kippur? What was the greatest mitzvah on Yom Kippur? What was the climax of Yom Kippur in the temple with the Kohen Gadol, the high priest? What did he do?
Hold on. That guy actually didn't get knocked out. He had 0 skull fractures. It's a miracle. He's not a crackhead. He's a cracked head. Wow.
Exactly. He would bring the ketoret. He would bring the incense into the Kodesh Kodeshim and fill the whole Holy of Holies with smoke from the incense. This only happened once a year. This was the climax of the whole Yom Kippur ritual. He would bring 3 scoopfuls of incense, which is a crazy amount. It's 3 times the normal dose, right? We read in Pitum Aktoret, every day you read before the prayers Pitum Aktoret, they would make 368 portions, right? 365 portions for 1 portion per day they would burn all day in the temple every day.
So what are they doing? Heroic doses? Mega doses? Of what?
And 3 portions that the Kohen Gadol would bring into the Holy of Holies once a year. It's a crazy dose.
So this is how they discovered, this is how Paul discovered Jesus in the heavens and in the scripture. They were tripping. They were hallucinating. They were having visions and dreams of this figure, the son, the branch, the servant, that they connected, the rod, the root, the star, and they trip balls, and they're like, all this happened in heaven. God secretly revealing his message to us through the scriptures. That's how it started. Like Jay Dyer says, in the same type of exegesis that Kabbalah and Talmudic Jews do, that's what the first Jewish Christians were doing.
Throughout the year, they would only burn 1 portion for the entire temple all day.
So they usually microdose, and then 1 time a year, the top rabbis go in there and trip balls and meet God. No wonder they want the temple back, huh?
And then on Yom Kippur, for this short bit of time, the Kohen Gadol is bringing 3 portions into a tiny space, into the Kodesh Kodeshim, that's sealed behind him, and the whole place fills with smoke. And then he gets a massive elevation. The Zohar says when he smells it, it elevates him to a very high level. And the Gemara says he sees visions, a katriel, a vision of God. That was the climax of Yom Kippur, and it had to do with the smell.
The smell, the Zohar says, the fragrance of the incense, which is finer and elevates more than anything else. It's probably weed. When this fragrance rises to join with the anointing oil of the streams. Oh yeah, I'm anointed, guys. I'm truly Goshiak now. My new natural cologne scent, frankincense and myrrh. Great mix. The Bible got something right. Dude, the frankincense in the myrrh is a panty dropper. Watch. Try yourself. Get yourself some frankincense and some more. None of that toxic estrogen mimicking Dolce and Gabbana, whatever it is, designer fragrances. You need yourself some biblical sense.
The ketoret. The Zohar says smelling the ketoret would elevate you. Out-of-body experience, whatever it would, you fly when you would smell it. It wasn't just something to make the place smell nice. It actually had hallucinogenic properties in it. It made the high priest see visions.
Interesting. That's the revelations and visions Paul and the first Christians were talking about. They study and memorize the scriptures all day. They're praying, they're prophesizing, they're waiting for the Messiah to come, and then they go trip balls. They starve themselves, whatever they do. They fast. They ask the local schizo, Merkava marijuana mysticism. Yep, pretty much. Pretty much. They just boxed it in the temple with all their rabbis, and they're like, we saw God. We now speak for God. Hey, guess what? God chose us. How much more do we have here? We are at 2 hours and 10 minutes, but we want to finish up. We covered this one. Quick housekeeping. Jack Stone got his account flagged, limited visibility. So now X, while there's all types of other stuff like hardcore stuff that goes crazy viral, our memes about how Jewish Jesus was are getting visibility suppressed. Probably mass flagged by Christians who are in such cope and denial that they're willing to censor us for telling the truth about that their Jesus is called rabbi multiple times because he's a teacher of the Torah. He's a Jewish teacher of the Jewish Torah in Jewish synagogues and practice Sabbath, and you guys know all the things. Anyway, getting flagged for our memes debunking these Christian lies. Bruno Bauer was a top mythicist in the 1800s. Look at this quote that he says here. There is an outcry as if it were treason against humanity if a critic starts to investigate this particular character of the Jew. He wrote The Jewish Question, by the way, this guy, Bruno Bauer. And he was a huge Jesus mythicist. The very same people who look on with pleasure when criticism is aimed at Christianity, or who consider such criticism necessary and desirable, are ready to condemn the man who subjects Judaism to criticism. This was in the 1800s. Does this not apply exactly to what I do and what we're doing? We criticize Christianity for some things. You're celebrated. You're top of Reddit. You're on YouTube. You're invited into the liberal atheist communities. But then you say it's Jewish. You criticize Judaism and it's you're anti-Semitic, you're evil, you're Amalek, you're blacklisted, you're banned. And it all happens. I have a good meme for this. Let's see if it comes up. A meme that it's the Joker meme. Maybe if I search Joker, it'll come up. Probably have a few memes like this. Here it is. This applies. Oh, wait, no, that's not it. It's this one. Say Jesus is fake. Say Christianity sucks. Nobody bats an eye. Say it was invented by Jews, and everybody loses their mind. Say Christianity sucks and is fake. Nobody bats an eye. Say Judaism sucks and it's fake, and everybody loses their minds. Tale as old as time. Even Bruno Bauer in the middle of the 1800s. Some things never change. Hey, Mr. Enoch, you calling me dumb? How are you going to quote Bruno Bauer and say, how right he was Do you not know he was like one of the leading mythicists of his age, but you want to call me dumb for saying Jesus didn't exist and he's invented by Jews? Come on, bro. Come on. Mark Levin seething about Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes. I can't listen to his voice right now. Not right now. Let's do this. I do want to see this. Emily Austin versus Anna Kasparian.
House legally. I buy land. They're stealing.
Dude, every day there's some clip of Anna. She's just got like the blonde hair. The bleach has gone to her head and she's just got like that fighting Aryan spirit now. And she's just gone full.
They don't want Jews in the West Bank. How about this? I think Jews should be allowed to live in the West Bank. Why are Jews not allowed? I don't. So you believe in apartheid because then? they keep building illegal settlements. What if I build a house legally? I buy land. They're stealing land. They don't want Jews in the West Why Bank. don't they let the Palestinians build houses in Israel? There's 2.8 million Arabs in Israel living better lives in Israel and the West Bank and Gaza combined. You just hate Jews. I will not.
Dude.
I don't hate Jews. Then why can't they live in the West Bank?
You just hate Jews. That's what they always do. Oh, uh-oh. She's gonna do the happy merchant meme. She's gonna do the hand wringing again. Oh, dude, they just unleashed the beast. This version of The View is so much better.
They live in the West Bank. Propaganda. Better lives in Israel and the West Bank and Gaza combined. You just hate Jews. I will not.
Two fake blondes. We got an Armenian and a Jew, both with fake blonde hair, going at it.
Hate Jews. Then why can't they live in the West Bank? I hate disgusting. Why can't they live in the West Bank? Propaganda. Why can't a Jew live in Gaza? Beings like trash.
Ladies, let's settle down.
It's fucking pathetic. How about this?
Helena says this is why we don't let women have opinions or speak publicly. That's funny. Jew. Okay, and I wanted to see this. Dinesh D'Souza, will anti-Semitism become a mainstream force in the Republican Party? The answer is an emphatic no, and I agree. All it's going to do is play the villain and give the pretext and the justification and the narrative and the appearance of this threat and this rise of Christian anti-Semitism. But it will ultimately be squashed by the church, by the Christian Zionists, by the leadership, by the real Christians. So I agree with Dinesh here. It's not going to take over the Republican Party. There will be a whole lot of fear-mongering that it is, though.
Says to me, I've been trying to block this. I think of Tucker in relation to Nick, sort of the way I think of Qatar in relation to Hamas. So Hamas is right out there. We're going to kill all the Jews. We're going to slaughter the Israelis. Mom, I killed 10 Jews. That's Hamas. Qatar is not like that. Qatar is like, we actually would like to negotiate a settlement.
How evil.
We think that we need to understand what drives Hamas to doing these things. Debbie goes, my Middle Eastern accent is very, very poor. This is not impressive. I don't sound like a sheikh. And this is probably true. But nevertheless, the intellectual value of what I'm saying stands. What I'm getting at is that Nick is like Hamas. He's like, at one point he even suggested that the Jews need to be all killed off. Tucker is more like Tucker wants to be like the more mainstream anti-Semite. Well, I'm just wondering if we need to sever our relations with Israel. I just wonder if Netanyahu needs to be imprisoned for life. I'm just asking. I'm not taking a position. In fact, I could go the other way. So the point of my releasing these texts was, first of all, to show that the problem here...
Need more Amalek, no notification? You're late, bro. Well, guess what? Whoever kept complaining about it, I fixed the DVR, so now you can, on Rumble, you can go back to the beginning and watch it and speed it up to 1.5 to catch up. That's what I do a lot of times. But also, another announcement, I'm going to be back tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, streaming with Dawson, having a chat with Ryan Dawson. It's been a while.
The specific reason for releasing the text is that Tucker is quite clearly trying to become, you could say, the new Charlie Kirk. And I don't just mean that he's trying to, in some ways, broadly replace Charlie Kirk in the culture. I mean, he's trying to actually become the face of Turning Point. And some people at Turning Point seem to be kind of okay.
I doubt that. Dude, Tucker's got his own network and thing. I do not think that Tucker wants to take over Turning Point. I don't believe that for 1 second. This is a anti-Gentile conspiracy theory.
Is the headline speaker in their upcoming summit, and so they are opening the door, maybe paving the way. But of course, Tucker is not Charlie, and a very good proof of that is their attitudes to Nick Fuentes. So Charlie hates Nick.
Johan
sent $5.
Charlie
Hey,
hates
Adam,
Nick Fuentes.
the dragon's prophecy has leaked on BitChute.
Cool. Maybe we'll watch it this weekend. Maybe we'll do a late night watch. Yes, this is classic Aryan blood libel.
Is far more than I do.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie thinks Nick Fuentes is vermin and should not be platformed at all. And I only released the text to highlight the distance between Charlie and Tucker. So the very guy that Charlie...
Another clip has surfaced, too, where Charlie Kirk says that anti-Semites like Nick Fuentes have no place in the conservative movement. He will not have a big tent and unify with the Christian anti-Semites.
Despised. And Charlie himself says to me, I've been trying to block this guy for 6 years. And Tucker is basically saying, I'm going to platform this guy. And it's not just I'm going to platform him, I'm going to softball him. I'm going to basically do a kind of cheerleading operation on him. And I'm going to bring him into, if you will, the larger fold. And I'm going to dare Turning Point USA to do anything about it. It's almost
isn't it crazy how they're seething and so in damage control and frantic to try to stop like one person that's critical of Israel from entering like the mainstream conservative fold. The way they're trying to police all of this from Tucker and Nick.
Turning Point. Here I am. I'm going to do this. And what are you going to do? Cancel me? Yeah. So Tucker is...
They don't dominate and control the right wing, but they're just, go into complete cancel culture mode with anybody that's willing to criticize the situation.
That the top brass at Turning Point, their board, Erica Kirk, Tyler Boyer, Andrew Colvett, all these people are cowering in fear of him. All these people do not see another way forward for Turning Point other than to be led by the Pied Piper, Tucker Carlson. And this, I think, would be a fatal mistake for Turning Point. In fact, I think this would be, quite honestly, the end of Turning Point. It won't be the end of Turning Point immediately. Turning Point has been raking in money.
Threat.
Turning Point has gotten an ocean of global sympathy after Charlie's death. But let's remember, those things don't last forever. At some point, it is the organ.
Amalek says the entire reason they funded the TPUSA got big was to stop the alt-right from taking over campuses back in 2015, 2017. Dinesh is right about this. Kirk would be rolling in his grave if he knew his death platformed Nick. Needmore Amalek says, I agree. He would be. He'd be seething bad. Yeah, he's looking down from heaven. This is all God's plan, This is all Mossad's plan by taking him out, supposedly, to allow Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes to take out Nick to explode more than ever and be mainstreamed and to be handed the torch of the young conservatives after Charlie gets taken out.
Organization itself, what it says, what it does, who represents it, the way it positions itself in the culture. And I'm quite convinced that anti-Semitism is not going to be mainstreamed in the Republican Party. The Republican Party cannot afford it, won't stand for it. Trump won't stand for it. If J.D. Vance goes for it, J.D. Vance himself is going to go down in flames. So ultimately what's happening here is not that Nick Fuentes is really being mainstreamed. What's really happening is that Tucker is putting himself outside the mainstream. And my proof of it is pretty simple.
See, this is like a chilling effect threat. You platform somebody that they don't that's too critical of Jews, that they don't approve of, you're out of the mainstream.
Adam.
Thank you, In Reality. Appreciate your support, buddy. See, this is all like subtle, veiled threats. But at the same time, he's kind of just saying what he's observes and stating the facts and the reality of the climate of mainstream politics, mainstream right-wing influencers. A lot of people won't associate with Tucker Carlson anymore now because of this. I saw he had something to do with Heritage Foundation, and they've removed him from their website. There's going to be a push to have everybody disavow and cancel him.
Name one mainstream conservative right now who's defending Tucker Carlson. None. All the mainstream conservatives are denouncing him. Now, there are a few people who are standing on the sidelines. They don't want to get involved, and I can kind of understand that. They don't want to be in the middle of this. But
salvia? Maybe they did have salvia in the temples. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. You guys remember salvia? Salvia is hardcore shit.
But the only people who defend Tucker Carlson, like
you'll definitely see some visions on salvia.
One guy today, I stand with Tucker Carlson. I'm looking at this guy. First of all, he has no shirt on. Second of all, he has the trademark baseball cap inverted, so you can see the adjusto strap to advantage. This is his kind of sartorial style. So yeah, you've got a bunch of weirdos. I stand with Tucker Carlson. He's telling the truth. He's really got the Jews' number. You're going to have some people like that who are basically the residual Tuckerites. And they're going to hang with Tucker. But I don't believe that there's any future in that for MAGA, nor is there any future in that for the...
Oh, I'm wrong, Thinkologist. Thank you, Thinkologist, for correcting me there. Actually, the CEO of Heritage Foundation called out Shills and states he fully supports Tucker. Okay, that was some bad intel. Thinkologist.
GOP. When I first came to America around 1980...
Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear that. All right, that's all we have for today. I'll be back tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. Shout out to everybody for the support. The Nameless European for that big, huge dono that got us over the goal. You guys are awesome. I love you all.
They're nice.
Thank you. Another successful stream.
Yeah, baby. Thank you.
We're gonna be back tonight, chatting with Ryan Dawson, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here. Subscribe on Rumble. Leave us a comment below. Clip the show. Share the links. I'll see you guys tonight. And if you don't show up tonight, I hope you all have a good Halloween and a nice weekend. I'm gonna maybe finish the book this weekend. At least get it finished and then have some other people take a look at it before it gets published. But it's going to be up very soon. Can't wait for you all to read it. And let's see. All right. You guys have a nice night. I'll see you again in a few hours with Ryan Dawson. Take care.